Guess let's get the show started. What's going on? Welcome into the Seth Justice Show. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff at Justice_radio on Instagram and on the good old TikTok. Also, the Seth Justice Show on Spotify and on the YouTubes, which I don't even understand. Like, speaking of those two, there's the, Wrapped that came out for Spotify, which says I'm 24 years old because of my musical tastes. And most of that is like pop, punk, rock, metal, new metal, all the kind of metal. I'm part of the Grit Collective. If you know what that is, and if you're a part of that, you definitely got to make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Anyway, but my Spotify said I was 24, and I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm identifying as a 24-year-old, and that is what I'm going to do. So I'm very happy about that. But YouTube is also getting into this recap game, and I don't know, man. Like, I feel like YouTube is like a slippery slope almost. And because, I mean, you can go down the rabbit hole like crazy on YouTube. You can just go down and then you're like, all of a sudden you're watching a snake video, and then somehow, some way you get to a pimple popping video, and you're just like, how did I even get here? Or you're listening to a podcast and it keeps on going and you're not paying attention, and all of a sudden you've watched 2 or 3 videos on things that you don't want to know about, like the secret wives of Mormon lives or wives, whatever, which actually we're going to be talking about that a little bit later, so make sure you stick around for that. Or Netflix and, them trying to buy up the entire world, which, yes, we're going to be talking about that too. Or just like some things about, somebody's dietary restrictions and not being able to, live life because they have a poop bag. I don't know. No shame on poop bags, by the way. Seems like a lot easier to, digest that way instead of it just sitting there. I mean, that's gross. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, anyway. But YouTube having a spot, like having a wrapped or recap thing, just seems like detrimental to our mental health. That's all I'm saying. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of strange. And not every app has to have a wrapped or recap or a year in review kind of deal. Musically, it makes sense. It does. So we're just like sitting back, relaxing, and being like, all right, cool, whatever, that's fine. You do you. Oh, that's really cool. We like the same music and everything like that, and people post about it. And it's a whole to-do thing. When it comes to like videos we watch or podcasts we watch on YouTube, it just gets a little bit dicey. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. And if I seem a little bit disjointed here today, which, I mean, there's already been a couple moments where it's just been like, oh, my brain, or what is he even talking about? Why is he going on this tangent? More so than usual, I have decided to quit vaping. Now, if you don't know, vaping is a nicotine thing. And nicotine has been in my life for a long, long time, since I was pretty much 18 years old, I think. And I've never been like super diehard into it, right? Except over the past few years, actually probably about 6, 7, about 6 years or so, maybe 5, where it's been an everyday kind of deal. Sometimes it would have been, I guess, no, it's been a part of my life pretty significantly since I was 18. But anyway, I've decided to quit. And vaping, at least, if you've tried to quit vaping, you know how difficult it is. It's a little bit different than cigarettes, because cigarettes, you have to it's a whole process to smoke a cigarette. Or like a cigar, for example, too. But when it comes to like vaping, you have the accessibility of it all the time. and then it just becomes a daily habit. And then it's like when you lose your phone, except that's 24/7, 365. And because it's so addictive and because it's so readily available, your brain gets wired in an interesting way. And over the past few days, I've been trying to figure all this out and get my bearings back and kind of focus and get back to zero base. It's just like, oh, this is taking forever. And my brain is just like going in circles, and it is a whole thing. And it's almost like I can't focus. That's kind of where my head's at now. And then I get super anxious. Like I'm on the edge of a knife each and every single time, where like if I'm start getting a little bit anxious, then it just goes absolutely crazy, super anxious, Seth. And I'm just like, golly, I don't like this, man. And then I just get super anxious. Same like with hunger, right? If I even feel a little bit of hunger, then it just consumes my entire being of like, oh, I'm hungry. I gotta eat. Or if I get even the little teeny tiniest angry, then that anger kind of consumes me, and you're just like, Gah! It's maddening, to be honest. But working through it, I think it'll be for the best, and to try and not, depend on things to kind of keep you sane, or just, because you feel like you need that break, something to take the edge off. Yeah. And I like, not gonna lie, I get sketched out talking about this stuff because it's like private life and stuff like that. And I usually like to keep my private life private, but it's also like, which I mean, I don't do a very good job of, let's be honest. But in this case, I need to do this because it holds myself accountable. And I think, if we do that more, hold ourselves accountable and, push ourselves to, do something that we're not necessarily comfortable doing, I think it can help out a lot, not only for us, but maybe people around us that we can help. So I think roundabout way and weird way, hopefully by me keeping myself accountable, and if you're going through something very similar where you're just like, oh, I'm trying to quit this, trying to not like drink so much or not smoke so much or not, depend on weed all the time, or maybe I work too much, or maybe I'm having too much time and I become an addict of and I need to take a break. I don't know. That last one seems like a nice thing, but hey, whatever's whatever, I guess. That's my new slogan. Whatever is whatever. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I've quit vaping. So if you are talking to me over the next few days, or, I seem a bit edgy, that's probably why. And I'm losing my mind ever so slowly when it comes to this, where I'm just like, oh, but it's so weird. It's just like I can't focus, and everything is either 0 or 100. And it's just like, it's just balance. Woosah. That's all I want. So, I don't know. But I will say with vaping, one thing that kind of got me last couple months, it's like my tightness in my chest. And it's just like, I don't much care for that feeling. So I'm just like, I don't know. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to do that. And then come to find out, like the next day that I decided to quit, some kind of dude from below deck had a heart attack. And they attribute that to vaping because Below Deck is by the way, a reality TV show about I guess, high-end yacht company, and they're just a bunch of workers, and they just are reality TV stars that are, working as a high-end yacht crew. But anyway, this guy, fit as a fiddle, ripped, has a six-pack, big pecs, everything like that. And he has a heart attack. And the main thing that they can say, because everything else is healthy, is that it's because of vaping. And I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, that supplants it even more. Even though I feel like my head is about to explode, it's time. It's time. So fingers crossed, trying to keep myself accountable. And yeah. So that's the fun I'm having right now with my brain and trying to, balance out my emotions. And I think that's probably why I've had some interesting high and low moments. I think with vaping, it does that because I think it just messes with your brain a little bit, and nicotine in general does that. And I think, probably in some way, shape, or form, there's probably some issues that come with that. So I would assume something like that is probably happening in my brain, where the chemicals are just like, bro, we are freaking out. And you're just like, all right, chill. But you can't chill. So, but yeah, so quit vaping. That's the third or fourth time I've said that. So we're moving on now to Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Talk about people who cannot keep their shit together. So if you've watched this latest season of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, the main thing that people have been talking about is Jessie, who is one of the stars of the show, cheating on her husband, which I don't necessarily think is necessarily cheating per se. Yeah, she kissed a dude. And he's from like the Vanderpump series things. So I mean, I guess, yeah, okay. Kissing is definitely cheating. Is it as bad as, having the intercourse? No, of course not. I don't think so. And especially when it's come out that, Jordan, her husband, has been, mean, to say the least, and very aggressive, and maybe not the most validating partner or partner at all. If you don't know the show, Jessie owns her own hair company. She cuts and does all that for women. And Jordan is like a stay-at-home dad. Like she makes bread. He stays home and makes bread. I don't know, just in a different way. But yeah, and so I don't know. It's probably the dynamic of it, where he probably feels insignificant because everyone tells him that men should be making or bringing home the bread. And it's just like, bro, it's 2025. If you have a partner that is able to hold you up and put you on a pedestal and be able to make the money while you're at home taking care of the kids, it doesn't matter what gender you are. That works out best because, I mean, if you're fledgling because you're working at some gas station, no shame towards gas station attendants, but let's all understand, y'all don't make as much as, a business owner who owns like 20 of those gas stations. Anyway, and it's better than like fledgling and having you have a shit career while your wife, who could have had a great career, just kind of did the bare minimum to take care of your ass. So, I think, especially in today's day and age, gender doesn't matter who takes home the bread. But the reason I say this is because I think that kind of mindset is in this relationship. Now, I could be totally, projecting or inserting my own beliefs in what I think into a situation I know nothing about. And in fact, that probably is 100% true, what I am doing. I have no idea about the situation there and what they're dealing with. But if you have a partner who is verbally, I don't want to say abusive, but isn't a verbally compassionate person towards his partner, I think that's a very good way to put it. And a partner who, could you say cheated on her husband? Absolutely, you could. Do I consider it? No, it's not the worst thing in the world. Would I still be upset and angry? Sure. Will I make a huge deal out of it? No, probably not. But it sounds like a more emotional deal than it. Anyway, we're getting too far in the weeds into this. So, in the show, the main, I guess, thematic use and theme of the show this season is that cheating scandal, which isn't really, not going to get into it. Cheating scandal. And one of the I almost said characters. One of the stars or former stars of the show from a season prior, Demi, essentially, and this is very like, it's shady and it's unclear on specific details, but from what I gather, Demi is somebody who essentially tried to make a mountain out of a molehill in this situation and tried to get Marciano, who the dude who Jesse cheated on with, again, just kissed, and, got him to say, oh, they had sex, oh, they got together, and it was a very impassioned affair, even though it was just a kiss on a reality TV show, Vanderpump Villa, and it was nothing, and made a huge mountain out of a molehill. Well, now, because it's not necessarily going Demi's way, and people found out what Fruity Pebbles meant, and if you don't know, I think it was either the first or second season, I think it was the first, Demi got a present of Fruity Pebbles. Apparently, Fruity Pebbles means drinking your partner's urine. So, yeah, apparently Demi did that. Which, whatever floats your boat, I'm just going to say, I hope you sterilize that, because that sounds absolutely gross, and I'd never, ever, ever, ever do that. That is, no, I'm already like a low-key germaphobe. That right there, not happening for me. But anyway, in the show, it's portrayed that Demi was like somebody who was trying to be like a snake in the grass and control certain happenings going on. And yeah, she kind of did that to some extent with Marciano, who is, again, Jesse's apparent affair buddy. So didn't really work out that way, because then everybody found out the truth, and they're just like, oh, okay, so Demi is an even worse person than what we originally thought, because they were on the outs. And yeah. And oh, by the way, now Demi is suing Marciano for SA, the sexual, and he's suing her for defamation. So that's long-winded way of explaining a situation that has gone totally off the rails. Actually, just so I get this completely correct, in fact, actually, Marciano is just suing Demi for over her saying that he sexually, SA. But he is saying, no, I didn't do that, so yeah. I don't know. It is a wild situation that for some reason, well, it just gets blown into a way because of reality TV. So, yeah, thanks reality TV. This probably wouldn't have even happened if they weren't on reality TV, but they are. And, well, we've already seen Whitney, who wanted to be on the show purely because she wanted to get on Dancing with the Stars. Well, do that. So, yeah. I don't know. Greed is a funny thing, isn't it? You just look at one person and you're just like, oh my goodness, I see you. I see what you want to do. All you want to do is get what you want and not do the betterment of, well, the entire people around you. Okay, I got you. So, but yeah. That's Secret Lives of Mormon Wives for this year. And then, to wrap things up, and I think probably a good way to wrap this up, is Netflix is essentially taking over the world. Now, this is just absolutely wild to me. So Netflix just bought Warner Brothers for like $87 billion. $87 billion. Now, Netflix is already worth $440 billion. So say, for example, that adds to their net worth $72 billion. That's over $500 billion that it's worth. I mean, and here's the thing. Here's what they get. Here's what Netflix gets from Warner Brothers. They get the DC universe, which isn't as good as what it could have been, like maybe in the 90s. Like, I don't know if Netflix had Batman the Animated Series back then, and they were a thing back then. Oh, that would have been huge. The Harry Potter series, which again is huge. And there's a few more things that I can't remember. But anyway, those two specifically, massive. And then they have a whole bunch of other shows and everything like that that Warner Brothers has, plus their overall archives over the decades that they've been a thing. Now, of course, they've been bought, sold, however many times. But Netflix, it is so surprising to me how massively huge Netflix has gotten over, the years that it's been around. Because originally, if you remember, it was like where you could rent video games or rent movies. I think it was video games. Because Blockbuster had, they were still a thing, and Netflix was just like, well, what if we just mail people these DVDs? That should be pretty cool. That should be pretty awesome. And then over the years, they started storing up the IP, and they started buying different odds and ends, and streaming essentially became because of them. I'm sure, musical streaming came first, but when it comes to video and that sort of medium, Netflix kind of was the first one. And of course there's Hulu, and we have a bunch now, but just the fact that Netflix has now purchased Warner Bros. And has created such a massive footprint for themselves is it's mind-boggling. Especially again, if you're around the same age I am, you know that where Netflix started. You do. And you go now to what they are, and it is an absolute monster. And monster in probably a good way, not necessarily a bad way, but definitely in a, oh my goodness, they have gotten to a point now where it's going to take a massive dookie drop to get them to miss out on, maintaining this. Somebody's really going to have to get the bed all dirty and brown and, not do well. The sheets, they are pearls and pearly white and everything like that. They look like a nice fluffy cloud. It's going to take a lot of, excrement to make them, get far behind or unable to be sustainable. But But I mean, as of now, they're just accruing IP and for example, now they have an anime wing of their, and they've had this, but most of their anime hasn't been good. And as an anime fanatic, I think they're now starting to get to the point where they are so incredibly good shows. Like the storytelling, the animation. I think you can get to a lot of interesting places with what Netflix is doing and partnerships. Because, I mean, if you look at Amazon Prime, if you look at Crunchyroll, which is the big anime streamer, and you look at Netflix, a lot of the same shows are on each of those. Well, with Crunchyroll, especially like the anime shows on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, on Hulu, it's all kind of spread out. And the ability to like have people pay for spots and also pay for, and you pay them like, hey, we're going to get your shows on here. We'll pay you X, Y, and Z a year. I think that's how that works. And then they get a licensing deal or whatever. And then they charge us, and then so on and so forth. But it is just a wild thing. But again, a lot of streamers have a different, my point. There we go. A lot of streamers now have shows from different other streamers on their product. And I feel like eventually we're going to get to a point where there's going to be like one streamer for everything. And it's going to kind of go against the whole monopolistic idea that us United States of Americans have with monopolies and everyone taking over. And but essentially what's going on here is everything is being licensed and such like that, that if one license fails, then the other one will fail, then it'll just continue to cascade. So it's almost in a loop of things going on. And essentially, because of this move with Warner Bros., I think Netflix, in probably the next 10 years, like Disney has Hulu. I don't know if that's going to be around anymore. Like Disney's going to be around, but that combination with Hulu, I don't know. Amazon Prime, I think that one is going to be like, there's always going to be that plucky underdog. Amazon Prime, or Prime Video, I should say, is that plucky underdog. But you already see it with like HBO Max. It has scaled back tremendously. Apple, was it Apple TV Plus or whatever? That has scaled back tremendously. And all these other streamers have scaled back as Netflix and Hulu are just surging forward. Do I think Hulu has a chance to possibly continue on with the surge? I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. But they do have a lot of, coworkers, we'll say, that are helping them out a lot with Disney, with, the live TV aspect that Netflix doesn't have. But that being said, it's an interesting dynamic, and other companies have to lift up the streamer, essentially. But like I said, Netflix is its own standalone thing, and buying IP, and what happens when they buy all the IP or just enough of it to where, it's going to be essentially a monopoly, or just barely not a monopoly. I mean, it's going to take over. It's going to be the main it's going to be like 1984. Netflix is going to be that huge thing, and they're going to have an AI oracle that's going to tell us what we want to watch when we want to watch it. That's what's going to happen here. I just solved the world's problem. I'm just telling you a story that's going on right now, and it just led to the end of all humanity. Look at me go. I am so proud of me getting to the the end of that thought and talking in absolute circles until, oh yeah, let's get to the the main thing and talk about, oh, Netflix has become like 1984 and they're going to be on every single screen watching us and being like, we're going to get you guys. We're going to make sure you're doing the right thing. Are you doing the right thing? You best be doing the right thing. Oh, you're not? Zzz. And then, yeah. Then it's going to have like an AI oracle that is going to tell us what we want to watch when we want to watch. It's going to be a whole thing. It's going to be a whole thing. And I think after that, we should end. So thank you so much for being a part of the Seth Justice Show today. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow at Justice_radio on Instagram and TikTok, and the Seth Justice Show on YouTube and on Spotify. At least for now. Maybe we might get to Netflix. I don't know. I doubt it, but we're going to work hard towards it. Maybe Netflix, you want to hit me up? We'll do like a whole production thing. We'll do it better than, what's his name, John Mulaney, who tried to do that on Netflix. I'll do it better. It's fine. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, weekend. Have a great week. I don't know, whenever you listen to this, I just appreciate it. So, later.